Good morning to you, and thank you for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogoto, and I'm glad that you chose to be with us this morning. I will take us through the headlines on the newspapers this morning, and then I'll bring on my panelists. Then we shall start our conversation. We start with the Daily Nation, and the main headline on the Daily Nation: going for last of the Mois. President-elect William Ruto has waged a bruising battle against the Moi dynasty, snatching the Rift Valley political mantle from the former president, and in the recent elections kicking out Gideon from the Baringo Senate seat. Now he has his guns trained on Raymond in the Rongai MP elections. That story is on page 10. KUPPET demands increase of school fees. The teachers' union says prices of commodities have gone up significantly since the last review of fees, and now it wants the Ministry of Education to push the extra burden of running schools to parents. The story is on the back page on the Daily Nation. Kenya Airways posts 9.8 billion Kenya shillings loss on fuel and inflation cost. The national carrier still in the red despite restructuring efforts and financial interventions by the National Treasury. Something must be seriously wrong there at our national carrier, but that story is on the Daily Nation on page 8. Concerns as public wage bill crosses 500 billion Kenya shillings mark for the first time. The government is spending more than $500 billion shillings every year on salaries and allowances, and the situation could get worse after it lifted a strict hiring freeze. That story is on page 16. IEBC tables result forms to counter rigging claim. The electoral agency has maintained that the just concluded general election was conducted in accordance with the law and legal procedures in a rebuttal to a petition filed by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party leader Raila Odinga at the Supreme Court. The IEBC denied the former premier's claim that tallying of the presidential votes was marred with criminality. IEBC has submitted to the Apex Court the forms 34A, 34B, and 34C that were used to declare Dr. William Ruto the winner of the August 9th presidential polls. That story is on page 6 on the Daily Nation. Governors-elect take over in Countrywide Swearing-In, and 45 governors-elect and their deputies will today take the oath of office to assume leadership of their counties following the victories in the August 9th general election. Among the county chiefs are 26 first-term governors, 11 incumbents, and 8 making a comeback after 5 years in the political cold. That story is inside the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper. And the main headline: new dawn for counties. It was an election of surprises where governors-elect defied the odds to win. It was also a victory for women as county chiefs take their oaths. They must be acutely aware that they will shape next devolution decade by their plans and actions. That story is on page 2, 3, 4, and 6 on the Standard. And Raila versus Chebukati, who will blink fast as Azimio leader now wants IEBC chairman to disqualify himself from Monday's election, even as Chebukati shot back, saying governor elections are conducted by returning officers. That story is on page 7 and 8. Very well. The Star newspaper, the main headline: why crisis looms if election rerun. Odinga's demands for poll reforms. IEBC remake viewed as recipe for constitutional crisis. I think that is the same conversation we were having here yesterday, and we've been having here for quite some time now. That story is on page 4 and 5 on the Star newspaper. Barasa granted 10 million Kenya shillings bond ordered away from Bungoma. That you'll find on page 2. The daughter in Canada drowned in pool. Kisii family begs for help. That story is on page 3. We will liberate Rongai from slavery by eminent family, says Gachagua. That story is on page 7 on the Star newspaper. So that is what we have on the front page of the leading newspapers this morning. And let me see if I can find some other headlines from across the continent. Okay, so maybe not, but as soon as I get them, I will bring them to you. So I'm joined this morning by Captain Savania from Nakuru County. Captain, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam Mogutu. Morning to our fellow correspondents. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching us from. I'm actually calling you live from Nakuru CBD. And this town today, Miriam, people are very busy. I think because of this which will happen around here. It is our busy morning. It is a bright morning. There is no rain today. It is not cold. And to bring you up to date, Miriam, on political arena, yesterday the UDA or Kenya Kwanza brigade were around in Rongai. Rongai constituency, some distance from here. It is actually bordering Nakuru town west. And there were a lot of activities, Miriam. And one thing I've realized is that people are ready to settle political scores, Miriam. Thank you. I will be bringing you up to date as we continue with this conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Captain Louis there from Nakuru. And we'll get into the headlines because I want to get your opinion on something there on Raymond Mois is running. And I think today, is it on Monday? And Kenya Kwanza is keen on what they say, delivering the people there from the hands of the Mois family there. They have an interesting name for it. Gachagua says from the slavery of the eminent family, that is the Mois family. But we will get into that in a short bit. Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to you, Miriam. Good morning to our viewers, to KUPPET. It's a pleasure being on Punchline Africa Television. It's indeed a very great day for our country because 45 counties will be having their elected governor take an oath of office. Therefore, there is a lot to expect from our counties, and there are many news that will be making headlines at the close of business today.
Okay, yes, indeed. And so we will, let's just look at some of the stories here. And so yesterday, I think just after we were done with our second show, Raila Odinga made an announcement there. And of course, we will not get too much into this because that also will form the basis of our show at 11 a.m. But I just want us to, I just want us to get a feel of what he said yesterday. So Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga yesterday asked the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati to disqualify himself from conducting the Kakamega and Mombasa governor elections slated for August 29th. Raila said the conduct of Mr. Chebukati during the August 9th general election was questionable and he should recuse himself and let his deputy Juliana Cherera handle the governor elections as Kenyans await the verdict of the Supreme Court on the presidential election petition filed by Azimio. He should disqualify himself from presiding over Mombasa and Kakamega polls, he said. But in a swift rejoinder, IEBC said the chairman Chebukati was not directly involved in conducting those elections. He's not the returning officer for the county elections. So I don't know what is your thoughts, and because Kenyans had so much to say about these demands by Azimio leader Raila Odinga. I'll start with you, Kiptanui.
Thank you, Miriam. It is unfortunate that these demands are real, Miriam. You see, if we said in this television that Chebukati has bungled elections from 2017, Miriam, and it will be people, how is he going to restore the confidence, Miriam, that people will be believing on what he's doing? If you come out and say, I'm not a returning officer, who is running this IEBC? Chebukati is actually running IEBC like this shop in Bungoma, Miriam, or in Western Province. It is, if I was Chebukati, I could not have gone to press and start saying, I'm not the one who will be running the Mombasa and Kakamega elections, which are scheduled on Tuesday, Miriam. It is unfortunate that we in Kenya, Miriam, we are accused, or we are, people allege that we are corrupt. When we are caught up, we don't even protect the responsibilities. But Chebukati say Miriam is coming very soon. Very soon, we will not believe what will happen to this country. And whatever the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate is saying, Miriam is right. How can you oversee elections and yet in these other counties there are a lot of accusations that even the presidential votes were less of governor, Miriam. So it is, I side with Raila Odinga on that. Thank you.
But as it is right now, Kiptani, before I go to Javen, the Constitution mandates, I mean, Chebukati, as much as whatever is happened, and of course the case now is in the court, and, the court will determine and let us know what really happened. He is still the chair of the IEBC, and there are procedures. Should Chebukati not be in that position, there are procedures to be followed. He has not resigned. He has not been fired, so he still has a mandate, and as much as that he will not be the one presiding over, but he's still the chairperson of the IEBC, so he is responsible for these elections because that is what the Constitution says as per right now. So Raila demanding that he does not oversee these elections, I think that is an impossibility as it is right now until proven otherwise.
It is an impossibility for true, Miriam, because everything we need to do in this country, we are doing it based on 2010 Constitution. If Chebukati could have resigned, it could have been something else, but I cannot see if it is possible. It is not possible because he's still holding the same office, Miriam, unless otherwise. You are right. You are very right.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking out loud, but thank you so much, Kiptanui, Savania, Jevan Karanja, your thoughts on this demand by Raila Odinga, and specifically asking that, the deputy chairperson, Cherera, to be the one to oversee the elections in Mombasa and Kakamega.
Miriam, is very interesting, and I think maybe for me, if I was the one who was giving the advisory opinion towards the new team, it would be better to clean the entire IBC commission, because Cherera and Chebukati, the difference is zero. There's not much to expect from Cherera, who has been the deputy of Wafula Chebukati when all things were going bad in IBC, when we got Venezuelans coming for the country, when we got ballot paper printed outside the country. They went for benchmarking. I don't know in Denmark or which country they were doing the printing. Therefore, from where I sit, I think there is no one who is clean between Chebukati and Cherera, because for the last 1 year they have worked together. Therefore, if there's a problem in IBC, they could have sorted the issue. They could have ironed it out prior to the general election. But I agree on Raila Odinga that we need an overall clean up exercise in our independent and electoral and boundaries commission, so that they can have a public, they can have the public trust. Because as it stands now, there are people who don't believe in IEBC, don't believe anything to do with Chebukati, because of how he has buggered our 2022 presidential election. On the issue of Mombasa and Kakamega, I don't think the chairman of Wafula Chebukati, the chairman of IEBC Wafula Chebukati, has a direct role in the county level, because you have the county returning officers who are mandated to conduct this election. Therefore, with or without Wafula Chebukati, the county, the elections scheduled for 29th of August in the counties of Mombasa and Kakamega will go on. And I don't see how Wafula Chebukati and Madam Cherela will interfere with the process, because we already have the IBC officials who are mandated to conduct that exercise in their respective county. But I think in future what Raila meant is that we need to have a clean-up exercise. We need to have a new commission that will boost its confidence to the eyes of the people of Kenya, because at the end of the day, this commission is in office courtesy of our taxes, and we need to hold it accountable and to ask what they are doing and what they are delivering to the people of Kenya, because we are the greatest stakeholders when it comes to the matters election in this country, because they can't be an election without the people of Kenya, without our politicians. Therefore, all of us must come together and forge a front that will ensure that we have a clean IBC that will give us credibility, very viable, free and fair, transparent election. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much. And before we get into the IEBC, because there is some some claims here by one of the people who I think will be a witness during this case, and he's claiming that according to the evidence they have, the KIEMS kit only failed in areas where supposed to be Azimio's stronghold, and we will get into that conversation shortly. But today, governors are being sworn in. I think starting, for those who have started, between 10 and 2, that is what the Constitution says. That is the timeline that is supposed to have to take place. And so I don't know, what is your expectation, Javan? Yeah, it's okay. Javan, where you are and the governor that is incoming, and perhaps the kind of things that you would want for your governor to address when they assume office or after they assume office.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Today is there is a beehive of activities in county of Laikipia, where I am, and the swearing ceremony is happening at Nanyuki Stadium. Therefore, a lot we expect from the governor-elect, because he was the first governor who kick-started devolution in our county. He is called Joshua Irungu. Therefore, he is not a newcomer in these devolved units. He was there. He had his project that he started in 2013 all the way to 2017. And most likely, the man, what we expect him to do, and we have, before that, we have the outgoing governor, Derito Moredi, who has done quite well. Therefore, I want him, what I want to see as a resident of Laikipia is a continuation of county project. We have project that was started by the governor-elect in 2013 to 2017. They are all ongoing project that was started by Derito Moredi. What I would love to see before anything else happens is a continuation and completion of this project that have already been started, to avoid having a half-baked project that will not benefit the people of Kenya. I don't want to see a scenario where the incoming governor will abandon project that was started by his predecessor, because at the end of the day, that means the people, the taxpayers' money will be lost. Therefore, that is what I expect from him. I also expect a lot in the issue of health, the health, because the outgoing governor, Derito Moredi, did poorly when it comes to matter health services and ensuring that we have a functional health facilities that is well equipped, that is has the right personnel. Therefore, I expect him to hire a number of doctors and to ensure that our facilities have drugs and medicines, because so that the people of Laikipia County will not be having to go to Meru or Nyeri County seeking health services. And on the issue of agriculture, we know is a devolved function, and Laikipia County being a livestock and a farming county, I expect him to do a lot to ensure that our people have enough water, they have fertilizers, they have seeds, they have extension, agricultural extension services, where they will be taught on what they need to do, what they need to grow at what specific time, so that they can maximize on their profits. Also, I want to see him maybe start new industries, or maybe rejuvenate or revive those project industries that were there before that are not functional anymore, so that he can create jobs to the people of Kenya, because they have promised in their manifesto that they are looking, they will be looking for environment where they create more jobs. And we know you cannot create jobs for the young people without the issue of industrialization. Therefore, that is what I expect from my governor, and I will wish him well as he serves the people of Laikipia. Thank you.
Very well, thank you so much. Captain Nui, what are your expectations or hopes that you have on the income?
And the outgoing governor, Miriam, Honorable Lee Nyanjui, I want to congratulate him on personal level. He took over this in 2017 and he has improved. We have a running Provincial General Hospital, Mama Margaret Kenyatta Hospital up there, a lot of infrastructure, roads. We have a fish cooling plant in Naivasha. The city has been beautified, a lot of capros around Miriam. So what I'm expecting, Miriam, you remember the incoming governor was against all this, what is up to, against the elevation of Nakuru to the city. against the municipalities and against everything that the outgoing governor was doing, Miriam. So I don't know. I don't know how she's going to govern. My worry is that is she going actually to continue with the project, or she's going to implement a fallacy of bottom-up approach, Miriam. Miriam, outgoing governor, he makes sure that there is no matatu along the central business, along the CBD. We have a new stage. We have now four stages up at the railway and another up there. And when the incoming governor was campaigning, she promised that you will go back to your state inside the town. So I'm waiting to see Matatu from tomorrow, because she's been planning tomorrow. And mark my words, Miriam, this county is very delicate. When you promise these people tomorrow after you're swearing in, they will come with Matatus and there is nothing you will do. So I'm waiting to see how she's actually going to do that. Another thing, Miriam, is that this is now a city, and we'll be getting a lot of allocation from the national government, like the other cities. And for the 5 years that she'll be around, it is my wish, or I will be actually very keen to see what will happen, how she's going to implement their manifesto, how is she going to take over from the outgoing to implement these projects. And you remember, Miriam, most of the beautification of this town is being done by the World Bank with a lot of allocation of a lot of money. And Miriam, as she is coming in, I know most of the hospitals around, people are working under contract. Others were, and she promised that everybody will be taken as a PNP, permanent and pensioners. Otherwise, the incoming governor actually will be getting money to implement all this. But I wish her all the best, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much. And I see the images that you're seeing now live on your screen. Those are live images from the KICC, where the swearing in of the incoming Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is currently underway. And if I'm not wrong, I think I've seen the presence there of President-elect Dr. William Ruto as well. I think he's in attendance there. If I'm wrong, I will be corrected, but I think I've seen him there. So that is what is happening there at the KICC, the swearing in of the incoming Nairobi City Governor Johnson Sakaja. So the issue that I've seen come up outside of the big bill they had when, for the ceremony that they're having today, the cost that had Kenyans talking. But something else also that had Kenyans talking is the pending bills, which some of these incoming governors will have to inherit and clear. And I think the county that is leading from another statistics I was looking at must be Mombasa, which has left a lot of pending bills. And one with the least includes, I think, Makueni and Baringo down there. They've left a small amount of money compared to what the rest have left. So the issues of pending bills being left behind especially by the outgoing governors, this is something that we never, maybe the crafters of the Constitution never looked at, and so how this would be a burden to the incoming government in the counties. So how can this be addressed to ensure that the outgoing governors, or the governors who are in charge at that time, make sure that they don't leave any pending bills for the people who will be coming after them, Chevan?
Miriam, I think is a very interesting issue of these governors. You have talked about the cost of holding these swearing-in ceremony, the inauguration ceremonies, and it's quite unfortunate, but we have governors who have inherited the bad behavior of stealing from our counties even before they are swearing into office. We have seen people going to a budget of around 30 million, 40 million, and you wonder what is it that they want to do just for swearing in. Therefore, a county government that spends more than 3 million in these swearing in ceremonies raises a lot of questions on how they may be able to deliver to the people of Kenya without cases of corruption being related. And before long, Miriam, will see our MCAs disagreeing with the governors. And before even 2 years elapse, we will see some governors being impeached because of corruption and misuse of public resources. On the issue of pending bill, I think, as you have pointed out, the framers of the constitution, maybe they didn't anticipate how they can deal with this issue. And I think it's something that need all of us to come together and ensure that any outgoing governor never leaves pending bills that will be inherited by the incoming administration, because that means the new administration will come in with a baggage of bills that they first have to clear before they start their job. And before they do that, time elapses and we find our county are not functional anymore. And I think to avoid this thing, we need also to ensure that the county revenue collections mechanisms to be so tight that every person who have a business, all resources, all avenues where they get their resources from in our counties are functional, so that they can have enough money to service their project without really having to borrow and to get these big loans, which have higher interest, because at the end of the day, they have to reservice these loans. Also, they need also to deal with the governor who are corrupt, so that in case, because most of this money, they end up in individual pockets, in the governor's pocket and his close cronies who they work together. Therefore, we need also to ensure the issue of corruption, we deal with it effectively to avoid these kind of scenarios happening in future. And I think as we move on, maybe as Kenyans will find a solution to ensure that any governor who is leaving office, maybe they tell us this is the money they are leaving, these are pending bills, this is what they did, this is how, to avoid the kind of confusion that we have seen other governors coming to office and they end up blaming their predecessors for their underperformance. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Evan Karanja. Captain Nui, the issue of pending bills, how can we deal with this better and, be addressed legally in the Constitution? Because this is proving to be a problem now. Okay. Captain Nui, can you hear me? Good morning. All right, so... Gladwell is here. Gladwell, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam. A very good morning to my fellow panelists. Good morning to our viewers.
All right, nice to have you this morning. We have missed you. We're not way too far into our conversation. Maybe we are. But today, the county bosses, the new sheriffs in town, are being sworn in today. And, of course, there was inflated cost of the ceremonies that they're having today. Of course, 45 counties are having those ceremonies today. Kakamega and Mombasa will be going to the elections on Monday to choose their new governors. What do you make of that? And also the pending bills, some of the bills that are being left by the outgoing governors, that the new governors have to clear for them. How should we deal with that moving forward as a country? Okay, I think I have lost my panelists there, but once they're able to come in, I think we can have that conversation. So let me just look at other. All right. Very well. So the new Makueni Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and his deputy Lucy Mulili have pledged to ensure full realization of devolution. The two leaders have also pledged to sustain the fight against corruption, and I think that is something that a lot of governors will have to deal with. And as said, the ceremonies are underway across the country. And Raila Chebukati differ over Monday polls. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga asked yesterday the independent and boundaries, and I think we've looked at that story. He wants Chebukati, disqualified from conducting, the elections there. There's a story I'm looking for that I wanted for us to look at this morning. Okay, so All right. Okay. So the voter apathy witnessed during the general election on August 9th was by design. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua have now claimed. In the presidential election petition filed before the Supreme Court, Raila and Karua alleged that the Kenya Integrated Election Management System (KIEMS) only failed in their strongholds to ensure their supporters left the polling stations without voting. The petitioner's witness, Benson Wesonga, claims that although the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) had guaranteed Kenyans that it would ensure all voters will be identified through the electronic system without any hitches, voters in Kakamega and Makueni had to ultimately use the manual register. And without even going too much into the detail of this story, I think we saw, I don't know if Azimio One has a case in this, because from whatever they're saying, they're claiming that the KIEMS kits were the ones that failed were by design, and this targeted their strongholds. They cited a few counties, including Kakamega, and we saw when Ruth's party presidential candidate Wajakoya went to vote, and how he could not find his details in the KIEMS kit, and how it took him so long, before he was able to vote later on after many hours of waiting, Javan. So I don't know, what do you make of these claims by Azimio coalition?
Thank you, Miriam, for that. And, in politics, claims and counter allegations are an order of the day. People will blame anyone, they blame everyone for maybe not getting what they expected to get. But on this issue, I think the people in Azimio have some valid points, because they don't understand why, and have maintained this, how this KIEMS kit failed in what was perceived as Raila Odinga's stronghold and in Mount Kenya region. On the issue of suspension of elections in Mombasa and Kakamega, I don't understand why Wafula Chebukati did that. And from where I sit, I think this was a well-orchestrated plan to frustrate Azimio, because Kakamega and Mombasa, if you go by the number of members of parliament who have been elected, the senators and women representatives, you'll see that these are Azimio strongholds. And you know what happens, Miriam, when a position of governor is not on the ballot, there are people who love their gubernatorial candidate so dear, and they will wake up to go and vote, not necessarily because they are voting for Raila or William Ruto, but because of their gubernatorial candidate. And when they see that the election is not there, and with the kind of confusion that the media created and the bloggers and everyone else, we ended having some people who thought entirely there were no elections that were to happen in Mombasa and Kakamega, and they stayed at home. Therefore, I think in next time, we don't want to see this kind of things happen and occur again in the future. We need serious issues, Miriam, should be the bottom line of suspension of this election, but not just a mixture of ballot papers. I think that was just a plan, and I agree with Raila Amolo Odinga and the team, because if it was an issue of insecurity, we can understand. If it was an issue of a national calamity, we can understand. But this mixture of ballot papers, I don't understand how it happened, and it only happened to Azimio stronghold. And on that, I feel like Raila Amolo Odinga and the team, they have valid points that they're making. And it's upon us Kenyans to understand that electoral processes, they cost us billions of money. It's a process that is so expensive. So it is a process that we should not be joking with. It's a process that, with the expensive and the amount of resources that is spent, also the seriousness should accompany the finances that we put in these processes. Therefore, at the end of the day, Miriam, in future, we don't want to see this reoccur again, and we need to ensure that if it's a general election, unless there's some serious issues, then all people to be given their ballot the same day as stipulated in our constitution. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Captain Sylvania. These claims by Azimio La Umoja, and they're saying, and we had this conversation during the voting day, and I think the next day, because it appeared even for the other method of identification that was in place, perhaps was not being used across board. Because we remember a certain old lady, was it from Pocotos? Do you remember us talking about her during the election day? And she had gone there very early. Her details could not be identified by KM's kit, and she was asked to go out and bask. So that means there was no alternative way of identifying her through the physical register or through taking her photograph and her ID the way it was being done in other areas. So I don't know these claims by Azimio La Umoja, and also you throw in the issue of Wajakoya. We saw how much trouble he had before he was able to vote, as he was not able to be identified, I think in Kakamega as well.
Yes, Miriam, thank you. This script was written, Miriam, and actually executed in a manner that my brother Jevan, I'm sorry for that technical itch. Miriam, as my brother Jevan, Inimani was explaining something. Miriam, these things were done. When you see this accusation that IEBC has been accused, Miriam, these things were not even done by mistake. You see, Miriam, if you tell us that we had a problem in Mombasa and Kakamega of mix-up of the ballot papers. You see, Miriam, that is enough to tell us that you with the same printer, Miriam. If it was actually a problem with the printer in where these ballot papers were being printed, it could have affected all of us. Miriam, when you are programming, when you are putting your flash disk on your, maybe you are putting the picture, the details of the candidate on this, and you start printing, Miriam, it will affect the whole system because you are not printing for Kakamega. How is it that you mismanage Kakamega and Mombasa alone? And yet, if it was for governor, maybe you are printing all of it. So, Miriam, before I got the technical itch, we are still speaking of the IBC, and I want to go back there, Miriam, shortly. Cherera and the other commissioners are insincere, total insincere, Miriam, because if they were good, they meant good for this country, they could have come up at that time and say, now I'm as a vice chairperson of this commission, I cannot stand while things are not happening well. We've gone to Chris and we have not been allowed to check on these ballot papers. There is a problem here. If she could have raised the alarm, she waited for the last minute so that she gets out there and she raises the alarm. On my personal opinion, Miriam, let us do away with all the IBC, not only the chairperson. Another issue, Miriam, is that many people on a silent perspective, they have not come out to say that we are not allowed to vote, Miriam, because there were no alternative voting. Let me narrow it where I went and casted my vote, especially in Kilimo Primary School in Joro. Miriam, immediately you enter the gate, one of the primary schools was one of the block, Miriam, at their notice board, in the names. You just go there, check your name. It shows you which lane you belong to. If you are in that register, Miriam, you go to direct your lane. So I didn't see much problem there, Miriam, but allow me to be sincere. On the lane 7 where I was not even in a position, Miriam, to check where there was an manual register. And although, Miriam, it was a peaceful transition, it was a peaceful election, we didn't encounter any problem when we were voting, Miriam. I asked myself one question when I was coming back. If, Miriam, you have a 75-year-old grandmother by the name Jane Wanjiku, how is she going to school and check her name and she's not even in school? She didn't went to any school on that manual register or those papers which are pinned on this notice board before she knew she's in a position to go and check the lane. Another issue is that she has no phone. We were told by IBC to be checking our details on our mobile phones. She has no phone and she has come all the way from Dondori to come and vote at a certain polling station X. Miriam, there's still a lot of problems around. And it is actually upon this country, Miriam, going forward, we'll be losing a lot of money if we are not going to rectify all these issues on private electoral offenses, Miriam, and so many things. Miriam, let me come out. I don't know whether you reached that side where you will allow me to
go ahead.
to speak on what
Yes, go
is
ahead.
happening on this campaign platform of Rongai. Okay, fine. Rongai is in Nakuru. It borders Baringo in the other end, and it is in Nakuru County. It is very sad, Miriam. It is so sad for the Kenya Kwanza Brigade, UDF Brigade, to come to Rongai, Miriam, and state the person of who happens that he was almost, or he might be clinching to the highest office of the deputy president, Miriam, of Kajagwa, whom the late President Moi, Miriam, assisted Kajagwa so much when he was in university. He assisted Kajagwa to make him a DO, Miriam, DO1, a very powerful post, to come and say, we are now through, we have finished the Kenyatta family, we have finished the Odinga family, the dynasty, we have now come to finish finish the last family of Moi. It is insincere, Miriam. It is so sad in Rongai, and it is so sad in Nakuru County, and it is so sad in Rift Valley, Miriam. In fact, they might have finished Gideon in Baringo. Now they are coming to Rongai to tell people we are remaining with only one, and we are going to finish. Miriam, and I think I saw another post in social media that the former the long-serving Secretary General of the Secretary of Moi, Lee Jiru, Miriam, who came out recently saying a lot of issues. Even he has written a book. All of a sudden, Miriam, political wave has made that gentleman to come out and campaign for UDF after staying with Moi family, after Moi giving him a piece of land in Qatar. It is not good. I think Lee, if you are watching this television, you are heading to a wrong direction. It is not good, Miriam. Miriam, today we are in Punchline Africa TV, courtesy of Dr. David. We've got for the last few years, I have known him from 2014. We've interacted on various platforms in social media, Miriam. He has given us this platform to air these issues. He has met at many. All of a sudden, Miriam, when we see people trying to cut his throat, we cannot even help. Is it not what has happened to morality? What has happened to Kenya? What has happened to us? And Miriam, it is not new. It is not new news. Somebody, Miriam, when Uhuru Kenyatta has assisted yesterday was blasting him. He's saying, this is a dynasty. Let us get out of this. Where is the origin of this William Ruto's politics if it is not in Moi's family? If it is not Moi, before the death of Moi, when he was at his sunset age, at his sunset days on this country area, William Ruto blasted Moi at one time in Baringo, and he said, if it is blessing that is going to give me, we have Mois of his age, they can bless me. They can, if come and matter, if it is saliva that I'm looking from this old man, I can get from anybody. But we brag so much. Musa even died without even William Ruto meeting him. So, what am I learning in this, Miriam? There is a lot of hypocrisy. Even if we are finishing dynasties, where the children of Kashagwa will be after he gets out of the politics? Where will be Nick Ruto, June? The father is clinging to the power. After the father, if and God forbid, if William Ruto will be the president, and what will happen to the children after 10 years when he leaves the power? They will be dynasty. They will be treated the same way he's going to treat the sons and daughters of the former presidents. Miriam, there is there is a one war we are driving. We are telling our children that in future, if you rise to be a president, you are not even allowed, you are called a dynasty. And Miriam, these people might not succeed on this. Miriam, the Mois families are okay, they have their own wealth. Raymond Mois is not a beggar, and he has been there, he has been there. And whatever he has done in Rongai constituency is even very impressive, Miriam. And to your surprise, he might not be defeated. He might come back based on whatever he has done. And you remember, in Rongai constituency, it is actually a cosmopolitan constituency. We have Kikuyus, we have Kisis, and you see even the person who is managing the CDF at his office, Kisi called Keva. So Miriam, if at all it has reached a point where we are castigating, we are casting these people who elevated us where we are, then this country, Miriam, it does not mean good for us. And God forbid, God even will not give these people power. son, as a Kanu, I'm also in Kanu, and my brother is in this morning, Miriam, and it is not good. Let us actually accommodate each one of us. Let us not take this country to a political situation where we refer other people to dynasties and other people to Asalas. And if that is the narrative that these people are actually coming up with, and then Miriam, I assure you, we are going the wrong direction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, Mr. Wesonga, who is the petitioner's witness, the IT expert, said that the decision to revert to printed copies of the voter register was too late in the day and residents left without voting. He cited at least 210 affected polling stations in the two counties, and the story continues. I see our time is up. Jevan, unless there's something you'd like to add on top of what Kiptanui has said.
Thank you, Miriam. Kiptanui has talked about the issue of what was happening yesterday at Rongai constituency in Nakuru County, where the former member of parliament for Madira, Rigathi Gachagua, has said that they are on a mission. They have fought Kenyatta family successfully, and they have clinched power from them in the Mount Kenya region. And now they extended the fight to the family of Mois.
It's interesting, Jeff, and even as you talk about this, and Kiptanui has also pointed this out, he benefited from all these regimes, from the Uhuru Kenyatta's regime and from Moi's regime, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's true. Moi is the one who groomed Rigathi Gachagua when he was in the University of Nairobi. And Rigathi Gachagua recently was telling us on national television how he could accompany the then President Moi to abroad, and how he introduced him to politics, and how they were given some handouts by Moi to sustain them when they were still in campus. Therefore, it's so unfortunate that we have reduced our politics to be a politics of family and fighting individual instead of articulating the issues that will benefit the people of Kenya. I don't understand how the fight to Kenyattas and the Mois will benefit the Wanjiku, how the value of Unga will reduce because Kenyatta is not in power. I don't understand how the people of Baringo will get water and security enhanced because Moi, Gideon Moi or Raymond Moi are not in positions of leadership. I think it's high time the people in Kenya Kwanza started articulating issues that deal with the issues that benefit the people of this country. And Miriam, I'm not surprised. The same card they're using today is the same card that have been used in Mount Kenya region to demean and to paint Raila Odinga as an evil person. Now they are using that same card to point Moi and Kenyatta's as an evil person, and that will not benefit the people of Kenya. And I think it's high time politicians to be grateful to the people who have mentored them. What are they showing our children? What are they showing young politicians? Because in future, I don't expect the people who will grow politically under the wings of Rigathi Gachagua in 20 years' time to come to start insulting him, to start belittling him and talking all manners of words towards him. And I want to ask Rigathi Gachagua, because he has a family, he has children, what will happen to their children if the same plan, if the same political wheel they are driving today is rolled to their children? What will happen in future if the children will be termed as dynasties and we are busy, and the politicians say that they are busy eliminating them from political leadership? I don't think that is the politics that we want to play in this country. We want decency. We want politics that is issue-based, politics that will better our livelihoods. We don't care who is in position of power. And I have maintained that being born in a poor family or a rich family doesn't qualify you to be a leader. But your character, your behaviors, and how you have been brought up, that is what identifies a leader who can take this country to the next level. It's not a matter of which family you come from. We have seen people who come from poor family, but when given position of leadership, they squander, they steal, and they do all manner of bad things. And we have seen people from rich families who are doing exemplary well in position of leadership. Therefore, it has nothing to do with the Kenyatas and Mois. And I want to warn Kenyans, when they finish with dealing with the Kenyatas, when they finish dealing with the Mois and the Odingas, next it will be your family. So keep watch and let's preach peace.
Okay, thank you so much, and we'll take a short break, and we shall be back with more conversation. This has been Good Morning Africa. Thank you, Kiptanui Sevania. Thank you, Jevan Karanja. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Good morning.